Howdy. Howdy. Howdy.
My bad. Good morning, pilots. Today is Thursday, October 31st, 2024, Halloween.
On today's episode, Mr. Roesner joins us to look at some political cartoons of the past.
Mr. Drew and Paul Lockman share some spooky records.
Kiara Lima has your sports.
And Yasmine Katwaru has your weekend weather forecast. I'm Dana Shand.
And I'm Lyshian Allen, y'all.
We're your pilots.
And this is your morning flight.
Robert Hernandez asked Deacon John where the church stands when it comes to ghosts.
Happy Halloween, Cardinal Spellman High School. And today on What's It All About, we're talking about ghosts. Too much?
No, we're good.
Oh. Well, anyway, let's get serious for real this time. So, Deacon, everybody is always insane about ghosts, like they're spirits. So, how does the Catholic Church view ghosts?
Not officially. No, I'm only
Officially?
kidding. I'm not kidding. Well, we don't have an official doctrine on ghosts. Okay, we don't have an official doctrine on ghosts, but we do have this idea that people are free to kind of create their own opinions, not their own doctrine. All right, what am I saying here? That as long as we're in line with Catholic doctrine, what happens after death? So what happens after death? It states our soul either goes to heaven, hell, or purgatory. That's what it says. So, but what is unclear is this. Would God permit souls to appear to the living, okay, from one of these places? That's our question. Now, of course, in the media, what happens? In the media, we have all these, we have these disembodied spirits that go around, right? These deceased humans that roam the earth, okay? Right? And sometimes they seem friendly, and sometimes they don't seem friendly. Sometimes they seem like they have some unfinished business to do, and sometimes they feel like they're doing some haunting, right? That's how it's generally seen. But when we're talking about ghosts, let's get one thing straight first of all. We're not talking about saints. The saints are in heaven, right? We're not talking about saints, okay? And if a saint would make an apparition, that would be an apparition, not a ghost, okay? When we're saying ghosts, we mean an average soul showing up, right? A soul of a person who's in one of these three places, right? Now, this is one of the times that the Catholic Church and theologians, come to kind of an agreement on this, okay? If God, in his infinite wisdom and mercy, would he allow the souls, okay, to, like in purgatory, to come to earth to help us, prompt us to pray for them so they get out of purgatory? Oh, okay. Yeah. So generally, that's what we think it is. The common idea is this, is that these souls manifest themselves or become visible. And they can become visible in different ways. They can have maybe a certain odor in a place, okay? Pleasant odor, or it could be maybe you see a silhouette of a person that you once knew, okay? But these manifestations, okay, might even cause us to be fearful. But I don't think they're made to make us fearful. I think they're made to make us feel sorrowful, okay? But because it's such out of the ordinary, I think sometimes we go to fear instead of sorrow. So I think their presence is really to get us to prompt us to pray for them so that they can get out of purgatory. So souls in purgatory will manifest themselves. Okay? Will they talk to you? No. Okay? The only thing that a soul in purgatory can say to you is that, say, if the soul appeared to us, do you want us to pray for you? And the soul would respond, yes. That was the only thing they could do. Okay, they wouldn't do anything else. Because all they want is our prayers to get out of purgatory. They want to get to heaven because that's what they're waiting for. So if they appear in a maybe a fully human, maybe a little obscured idea, okay, are they a ghost from purgatory, or are they a ghost at all?
Whoa.
Now we have to worry about demonology, because demons will take the shape of ghosts. They will take the appearance of ghosts. And demons are what? They're trying to cause us to do things. So anytime a demon, because they're so clever, okay, they'll work on our psyche and this idea of a ghost. They'll appear in that way. And what do they want to do? They want to try to get us to do something or say something, okay, that's contradictory to our conscience and to our created out of love, for love, to love, how God created us. So the only time I think you have to worry about ghosts, okay, is if they come to you and they ask you to do something or they ask you to say something, because that's a demon, that's not a ghost. So the only thing I tell you that if a ghost came to you, a real ghost, they're probably from purgatory and they probably want you to pray for them, and that's about it. So don't be afraid of no ghosts, but beware them demons.
Demons. What a way to end off. But what about aliens? Because you've been seeing a lot of aliens around today. We might have to end this here.
Next time, aliens.
Yeah. That's it for What's It All About. And watch out for aliens. Keep watching the skies.
Thanks, Deacon John and Robert. Let's get into the news.
A group of our senior leaders traveled to Princeton University's Blairstown Center for the annual SALT trip. SALT stands for Spellman Adventure Leadership Training. The seniors learn leadership, teamwork, and problem-solving skills through adventures including rope climbing, hiking, and more. The goal is to help build critical skills such as communication, collaboration, and creativity.
Our speech and debate team brought home 5 medals from the American Debate League fall competition. Jaden Ramirez won 2nd place in the individual competition out of 78 competitors. It was his first time competing. Faith Canoe and Dana Shan placed 2nd as a team out of 73 teams. Dana Shan, where do I know that name from? Congratulations, Dana, and to our team.
Thank you, Lyshian. The marking period ends next week on the 7th. Make sure you finish strong, pilots.
Mr. Roesner of our Social Studies Department joined senior Akio to look at some political cartoons from newspapers of the past.
Hello, I am Akio, and this is Mr. Roesner, and we're here to talk about old political cartoons.
This political cartoon we have in front of us is a representation of the 1800s, the trusts. The trusts were large combination of businesses that acted like monopolies and made huge profit in whatever field they were in. The cartoon shows different trusts in the gallery of the Senate, and they're trying to interpret this as the Senate is controlled by these large trusts. And the senators do nothing, and the trusts make a lot of money, and they charge whatever they want, because that's what a monopoly does. It charges whatever it wants because they're the only producer of that good or service. And that's why monopolies and trusts are now illegal in this country.
And these big monopolies, they're shown as either literal money bags, or big and overflowed, or barrels.
Yeah, they obviously are shaped like money bags, and they're huge, and they're supposed to be like the fat cats of industry. And that's that one.
That's that one. This was by Kepler.
Okay. Now we have an FDR political cartoon, and he's a doctor, and he has a New Deal remedies on his doctor's bag. And next to a sick Uncle Sam representing the country, you have all these bottles with letters on it representing his New Deal policies. And Congress is the worried wife of Uncle Sam. And FDR is saying, of course, we may have to change remedies if we don't get results. So he's trying to do with a bunch of different organizations with letters representing them, like the CCC and the CWA and so forth, to cure the economy, bring up the economy during the Great Depression. And he's willing to adjust things to make the economy better and make the country feel better. That's what this one is about.
Yep. And there's a lot of bottles to show the sheer amount.
Oh, there was a huge number of programs that the New Deal was about, and they all were letters. It was like an alphabet soup of policies, yeah. And some of them were struck down by the Supreme Court because they were found to be unconstitutional. You can't do that in this country, and others were kept. As a matter of fact, one that's still in effect today is something I'm looking forward to soon: Social Security. That's when you retire and you get an old age pension.
Yeah, gee, look, Uncle Sam at least, and I think Congress looked kind of worried.
Congress is very worried because they're worried about Uncle Sam, but they don't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do. I mean, I can't blame one or the other because it was the Great Depression, and they were trying to figure out a way to relieve the Great Depression while still maintaining a free market economy. And sometimes you have to leave things alone and let them fall the way they may. It's going to hurt people, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. You can't bring back the tide when the tide goes out, and the economy is like the tide coming in and going out. And you have periods of growth and periods of decline. And that's what happened. We had a very serious, long period of decline. I admire the attempt to try to help people get some relief from the depression, but I mean, sometimes it just has to work its way out. As a matter of fact, none of those policies actually ended the depression. What ended the depression and made Uncle Sam feel better was World War II.
Well, that's all the cartoons we have today. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Akio and Mr. Roesner.
Mr. Drew and Senior Paul Lockman are back with some new stacks of wax, as Mr. Drew calls them. This time, they're listening to Halloween-themed records in a new Spellman Sounds.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to another edition of Spellman Sounds. I'm Mr. Drew, and I'm here with my faithful companion, Paul.
Hey.
Hi. So Paul and I decided this time to go through the Spellman archive and find some horror titles.
Yeah, well, with Halloween coming up, I feel like it only fits. So we went through, found a couple spooky things, and a lot of these, actually, the first and the second and the last one you'll be seeing are books we tend to study a bit here at Spellman.
Yes, exactly. So the first one, as you can see right here, is Frankenstein, as read by the actor James Mason. So let's take a quick listen, and then we'll talk a few moments about it here.
All
right. Us, sometimes wishing to see you, sometimes resolved to quit the world and its miseries forever. At length I wandered towards these mountains, and have reigned through their immense recesses, consumed by a burning passion which you alone can gratify. We may not part until you have promised to comply with my requisition.
Okay, so there is a common misconception when it comes to Frankenstein. Now, I know you said you read it sophomore year here.
Yeah.
With Miss Tamburella. There's a misconception that the Frankenstein monster, first of all, is called Frankenstein. No, that he's called the monster.
That's right.
That's because of the movies. And the fact that the monster is actually an idiot. Just basically almost a simpleton. But when he is created in the book, he's quite intelligent. You didn't have to cut me off. I could never know we were nothing. I don't even need your love, but you treat me like...
Yeah, he actually, that's one of the main matters that they talk about in the story. They actually have, I think at one point, what's described as a battle of wits, something similar. And so he's never really portrayed as like some bumbling buffoon or someone who doesn't know what's going on. He, like, from the moment he's created, kind of just understands things very quickly.
Yeah. It's a beautiful story about, being accepted for who you are and life and what constitutes living and such. But God, the prose is terrible. It's terrible. I mean, remember, Mary Shelley was 18 when she wrote this.
That's true.
So
it's also written in much older English, and nobody really talks how they do back when that was written, so it makes it a bit harder to understand. But I think it kind of adds to that Gothic feeling.
Yep, I totally agree. Totally agree. Now, our second album is called Tales of Horror and Suspense, as read by, I should say, not written, by Ugo Topo. And it includes two stories, actually. One is a short story called Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Nardone covers with his class, I think.
I'm not so sure yet. I haven't heard of it, but I'm sure as the year goes on, we might see a little bit more.
Let's take a listen.
He loves his short stories after all.
He does love his short stories, yes.
These movement plank, which spanned 3 of the cross ties of the bridge. The end, upon which the civilians stood almost but not quite, reached a 4th. This plank had been held in place by the weight of the captain. It was now held by that of the sergeant. At a signal from the former, the latter would step aside, the plank would tilt, and the condemned man go down between 2 ties. The arrangement commended itself to his judgment as simple and effective. His face had not been...
Okay, first off, right off the bat, I like this guy narrating better than James Mason.
Yeah, I like the sound of his voice a little bit more.
Yes, I do. And I think he's a little more forceful in the way he reads and such. Makes it a little more interesting. Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge is also an interesting short story because, if I'm not mistaken, it was also done as a Twilight Zone episode.
Really?
Yes, in the 1950s with Star Trek actor George Takei as the star of the episode.
So that was in the original Twilight Zone.
That was the original Twilight Zone, correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I've never read the story, though, and I don't even think I've seen that episode.
Yeah, I can't say so either myself, but if it was in the Twilight Zone, then it was probably a pretty interesting mind-messing with story.
Correct, yeah. Now, I will tell you, our last record here that we got is my favorite out of them all, because it is a collection of Shirley Jackson. You got that there? There you go.
Yeah, I got it.
Shirley Jackson stories that includes the lottery, and many of our freshmen know the lottery.
Oh, I remember the lottery. It's actually one of those stories where you kind of forget about it after a while, but the moment you hear the title, you're like, oh my gosh, how could I forget about that story?
Mm-hmm. Now, this is read by Maureen Stapleton. Let's take a listen.
Listening on the black box. He seemed very proper and important as he talked interminably to Mr. Graves and the Martins. Just as Mr. Summers finally left off talking and turned to the assembled villagers, Mrs. Hutchinson came hurriedly along the path to the square, her sweater thrown over her shoulders and slid into place in the back of the crowd. Clean forgot what day it was, she said to Mrs. Delcroix, who stood next to her, and they both laughed softly. Thought my old man was out back stacking wood, Mrs. Hutchinson went on. And then I looked out the window, and the kids was gone, and then I remembered it was the 27 and came a-running. She dried her hands on her apron, and
What I love about this story is just the whole thing with the foreshadowing and all the symbolism that this story has. It's just soaking. It is literally an English teacher's dream story to teach, because you can cover so many literary elements.
And I think what makes it such a good story is, like you said, with the foreshadowing, once you're able to look back after having read it already, you kind of see like, wow, this is kind of messed up how casual everybody is with this entire process. And then just kind of adds to that whole scary allure to it.
How casual everybody is with the process, not only as its beginning, but then once the winner of the lottery is determined, and even the children start picking up rocks.
Yeah, it's kind of shows you like that mob mentality. It's almost cultish where how everyone's not only willing to do all this, but kind of excited, like it's some sort of sick holiday.
Yes. The purge before the purge.
Exactly.
Right? All right, so folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Spellman Sounds. I was thinking, Paul, what do you say next time we look into Shakespeare?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right then, folks, until then, take care.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all, Mr. Drew and Paul.
Now it's time for our sports with our sports analyst, Kiara Lima. Hi, Kiara.
Thank you, Dana. Our varsity football team has had a better season than in the last few years. With 2 wins under their belt, they're getting ready to end their regular season against Holy Cross this Saturday. This will be the senior game. Try to come and support the team in their final game in playoffs. We'll also stream the game starting at 3 p.m. right here on CS1. The girls volleyball team ended with a loss to Kennedy, 3-1. Congratulations to the seniors as they played their final game at home. Are you excited for the basketball season? I know I am. Girls tryouts are being hosted November 2nd and 3rd. Listen for announcements on meeting info if you're interested on joining the Spellman basketball team. Boys tryouts are the following week. Our track team has had an outstanding season so far, consistently earning medals. Keep up the good work. As for our boys soccer team, they finished the season in 2nd place, earning them a place in playoffs. As we record this, the boys are outside on the field playing St. Peter's in the first round of playoffs. Go get them, boys. I'm your sports analyst, Kiara Lima, and that's your sports for today. Back to you, Dana.
Thanks, Kiara. Yasmine Katwaru has a look at our weekend weather.
Will we have nice weather for our Halloween activities this evening?
I can tell you that you should be fine to go out this evening, but you can leave the jacket behind if you're not out too late. Today we have cloudy skies with a high near 80. We'll arrive to school tomorrow to showers, but the warmer weather continues with a chance we might hear some thunder. The temperature will drop during the day, and we should settle back to normal temperatures for this time of the year. Saturday's senior game for the football team will see sunny skies with a high of 59. Remember, the game starts at 3 p.m. and we'll stream it live here on CS1. And we round out the weekend as we started it with partly cloudy skies and a high of 59. Next week sees temperatures in the 60s to low 70s with plenty of clouds, but no real rain until next weekend. That's all for now, pilots. Back to you, Dana and Lyshian.
Thanks, Yasmine.
And that's it for this week's morning flight. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page so that you're alerted when new episodes premiere on Friday mornings at 8 a.m.
Plus, keep up with all the sporting and special events here at Spellman. You don't want to miss it, y'all.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode of Morning Flight.
Until then, I'm Lyshian Allen.
And I'm Dana Shan. Fly high, pilots, and happy Halloween.
Halloween.